Hi guys, I've got a treat for you today. It's the ownership review time of the MT-10. If that interests you, stick around, grab a drink, let's get on it, let's give it a ride, and let's see what's up. This is my own MT-10 and I had this for a little while, as I just said. I've done a few things to it which I'll run you through later. First things first though, it looks mad, doesn't it? A lot of people come up to me and say, oh, you've got a transformer bike, which is yeah, it gets old after a while, but it does look a bit transformery from the front, as you can see. Looks mean, looks menacing. It definitely stands out as a bike that well, as my friend says, it stands out as a bike that definitely looks mean. Oh look, my fuel's low. That's something you'll get used to with an MT-10. First things first. So initial thoughts when you get on an MT-10 is just how smooth it is. It's very, it feels very well built. The sitting position is very upright. It's not as upright as something like an MT-09. That's way more like you're on it. You're a little bit lent forward, but not too much. It's very comfortable. You could easily tour on one of these things, which I'm going to do next week. I'm going to France. Brakes wise, has twin discs at the front, 320mm, and at the rear has a single disc, obviously. They're not too bad. The rear disc is it's okay, it stops you. Oh, horse. It's powered by a 998cc liquid cooled 16 valve inline 4. Some of you who aren't familiar with the MT-10 might be thinking it sounds a bit funny. That's because it has a cross-plane crank, same as the R1. The engine is the same as the R1 engine, bar a few little bits. The MT-10 is a very well-priced bike in the hyper naked range, and they did make some sacrifices to get it there. One of those being the engine. They did change a few components from the R1, specifically for weight, so titanium valve stems, I think. There's bits and bobs in the engine that are titanium, and they swapped them out for stainless steel. So you've got a bike that weighs about 210 kilos. It's not the lightest thing in the world. It is a bit of a brute, but damn, 160 horsepower naked. Yeah, it's a brute that shifts. Let's go left. Oh, hedgehog. Has a quick shifter, no blipper. This is a 2017 model. Take that in note. Obviously in 2022 now. So those of you who are looking at this model specifically will be looking at a used bike. I don't think there's many things that go wrong with them specifically. I've heard of the odd engine blowing up, but that's mainly due to people mapping, or well, not mapping it, decatting the bike and not mapping it to suit. So, you know, come on. If you map a bike, you got to map it. If you decat a bike, you got to map it. The bike sounds absolutely amazing. It really does sound great. I've got the baffle in for the sake of the video, but I usually have it out. The quick shifter as well, when you change gear, it has this horrendous crack, and it sounds amazing. I love it. The quick shifter is super smooth. I'm super happy with the quick shifter. I recently rode a Speed Triple, brand new Speed Triple, 2022 Speed Triple RS, and the quick shifter, every time I used it, it cut the power completely. It gives you that sort of lech forward, you know, every time you change gear, but on this it's, you know, super smooth, can't even feel it. It's just continuous acceleration, and it's really good quality. I'm really happy with that. Being 160 horsepower, it will lift the front wheel first, second, third, maybe fourth. It's a big wheelie monster, this bike. It will get you into trouble if you're not careful, and it's very addictive to ride. It will make you go fast. It comes with 3 modes for traction control, 1, 2 and 3. 1 being the most aggressive, so anti-wheelie off, traction control very limited, I believe. I don't think it's fully off, but limited. And then you've got number 2, which is in the middle. That will let you wheelie. That's a really good mode. It's the mode I'm in now and the mode I use the most. And then you've got also number 3, which is the most restrictive, which, you know, is probably good if you're riding one for the first time. As if I let my friend have a go on my bike, I usually put it in this that mode. And yeah. We also have 3 rider modes with the MT-10. You've got standard, which is what I'm in now. You have A, which is aggressive, you could say. It doesn't actually stand for aggressive, it's just slightly more aggressive. And then you've got B, which is, you know, bonkers mode, which gives you the full whack. Everything is just a bit intense, aka track mode, which is I don't use very often, if I'm honest with you, on a day-to-day basis. The TFT dash is quite good. It's not colour. If you wanted a colour version, you will need to have to buy the SP version of the MT-10, which also comes with better suspension, like the Öhlins. I didn't personally go for that because I didn't need it really. It's out of my price range anyway, and I didn't need it. I just wanted a nice MT-10. It does have cruise control, which is super handy. I really like cruise control. Slightly addicted to it, mainly for towns. You know, when it's like a 30 miles an hour limit or 40 miles an hour, you just want to sit there. Pretty easy to use. You've got to be in 4th gear or above 30 miles an hour, I think. So press a button, set, done. Cruise control activated, and you can just sit there quite happily, and it's so smooth. I did get mine mapped at if you look at my previous videos on it, JB Motorcycle Dyno, he did a splendid job. It smoothened the throttle out a little bit, which was really nice. It's quite a smooth throttle anyway, to be honest. I never really had that much of a problem with it. But some people do say it's a bit jerky, but I don't think so, personally. It does feel super planted in corners. Definitely, compared to my old KTM 790, I feel way more comfortable on the side of the tyre on this bike. That might be to do with the suspension setup. Talking of suspension, this has got fully adjustable front and rear suspension, even on the non-SP version. I'd very highly recommend you just taking a test ride on one, just to see what you think. Super smooth, quite wide, I would say, but I guess that's what happens with an inline 4 engine. They're always going to be a little bit wider than, you know, what I'm used to, which is twins. The sound of it's lovely. You probably can't hear it that well, but it sounds amazing. Cross-plane engines, for me, are up there with V4s. They just sound great. Tyres wise, I believe the I believe the MT-10 comes with Bridgestones. Nothing really wrong with them. I put Bridgestone S22s on mine. I did go with Metzler's for my last KTM. They dive in a little bit quicker than these ones, and that's definitely an advantage, I think, if you were to get them on the MT-10. If you were to buy the Metzler's, because the bike's quite heavy and it doesn't fall over the edge of the tyre quickly, it doesn't drop away from you, it's quite a progressively, you know, it's quite slow on the tilt. So that can be solved with some nice, different tyres basically. However, that being said, I am quite happy with my tyres. Oh, a lovely road. Honestly, you get on this, but my first impression of getting on an MT-10 was just like, I need one, and I bought one like a week later. And obviously being 1,000, having 160 odd horsepower, getting past pretty much anything is, you know, it's just easy. Flip of the throttle and you're past a bunch of cars, no problem. I do think the styling on the bike is a little bit Marmite. I definitely know some people like it, some people hate it. Personally, I don't really mind either way. I think it looks awesome. I'm definitely not a lover of it. I wouldn't put it next to, you know, the likes of a Tuono. Also, performance-wise, it's not quite up there with the Tuono. It's obviously not got as much power and it's not as nimble. But that being said, the Tuono is like 5-6 grand more expensive than this bike. It's it's very much worth bearing in mind how much this bike is and what you're getting. You're getting a 1000cc inline cross-plane engine, which essentially is a bit of a, you know, it's basically a naked R1 to a point, which looks crazy. It is crazy. It's a complete wheelie monster. Really fun bike for, you know, I think they're 10,999 when they first came out in 2016. I think they first came out. I don't really know what they are now. They're a bit more now, but definitely a bike worth considering if you're in the market for a hyper naked. They do sound awesome. But if you have the cash and budget for an Aprilia or a KTM Super Duke, I would probably get one of them. But yeah, I can't mock the MT-10. A friend of mine who's owned one, he thinks it's perfect. It's a perfect all-round bike, and I can totally understand where he's coming from. It is a perfect all-round bike. It doesn't compromise on much. One thing I don't like about the 2017 model, I don't know how many other models this affected, I believe they changed it on the newer bikes, is that only one headlight works in dip beam. So I've had lots of people come up to me and say to me, you've got a headlight out, and it's not actually the case. The case is just that Yamaha designed it that way, so thank you, Yamaha. Cut across lanes would be a natty bay. Whiteways is open for business. Freshly laid tarmac. Can't say I'm a big fan of freshly laid tarmac. I never know how much grip there is. Oh, that crack when you change gear. God, it sounds good. Addictive bike. As far as upgrades go on this bike, good things to do. I would suggest that exhaust, obviously. The standard exhaust has a valve on it which opens and closes, but the catalytic converter is a hefty old bit of kit. I would personally decal that. Nice exhaust. Obviously get all your protection done. You can buy so many extras for an MT-10, obviously being Yamaha, that you can pretty much change the whole thing into a carbon fibre bike if you wanted it to, or if you wanted to do that. But yeah, I can't honestly fault it. The fuel consumption is a little bit questionable if I was to have to complain about anything. One thing you can also do is nick parts off R1s, because it's the same chassis, and a lot of the parts are carryover. I had R1 rear sets on this when I first got it, which I changed because I wanted the comfort more than I wanted higher rear sets. Yeah, I have heard of the bike suffering with the bearings in the forks, but I think that's mainly because people are wheeling them and then slamming it on the floor quite quickly, and that's just how that goes. So yeah, if you're on the market for an MT-10, feel free to drop a comment below. I reply to pretty much every single comment. If you have any questions about it, any queries, I will do my best to answer them. They are a great value bike. I would thoroughly recommend one. Nothing so far, touch wood, has put me off this thing. I intend to keep it for a while. It's a lovable old thing, and it does get quite a bit of attention, to be fair. As always, thank you very much for watching. It's been a pleasure. Hopefully catch you on the next video, but for now, peace out, take care. Oh, come on. I hate caravans, cyclists, slow drivers in general.
Hey, check it out, she's totally staring you down.
1, 2, 3,